Hey everybody, welcome. And I just wanted to make you a quick video to explain a couple of things for you. I get a lot of these sort of questions about my spiritual regression hypnosis sessions, and I had a really exciting one yesterday. And I was thinking to myself, I always want to share these things, but I never actually get to sharing them. So I'm very quickly sharing it with you. Just to let you know, I also wrote a blog about this. So if you don't prefer to look at the whole video, you can also click on the blog. There's a link just down below in the description that you can check out if you would like to do so. All right. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Adrian. I'm an intuitive wellness practitioner. I do spiritual regression hypnosis. I'm very, very passionate about it. I'd like to welcome you to my channel. So whether it's the first time that you are here, whether you've been here before, I'd really like to welcome you. I'm really passionate about what I do. Everything that I do is always focused on aligning you with that beautiful birthright potential that I believe that we all have before we're even born. There's so much magic in every person. There's so much potential. There's so many opportunities that we're sometimes not aware of. There's so much experience that we have from previous lifetimes and skills and unlocked talents that we have. And so everything that I do is always focused on that. And so I do regression hypnosis. And for those of you that don't know, hypnosis itself, it's a practice that is older than 6,000 years. You know, all the ancient civilizations, all the wise ancient civilizations have all really used hypnosis. It's a wonderful, wonderful way to communicate directly to your all-knowing subconscious mind, because all the answers that we seek, it's already here in your subconscious mind. It's there with you all the time. And so hypnosis is about crossing that gateway to get, to that beautiful knowledge that is always there, to connect with all of who we are. And so for this particular video, I just want to speak about what happens with the soul directly after it passes. So directly after the soul leaves the body, what actually happens. Now, I've done a lot of regression hypnosis sessions so far, and I'm looking forward to doing many, many more. And but when it comes to the experience of the body, the soul leaving the body, clients often they explain it very much in the same way, whether they are very sort of familiar with spiritual work and light work, or and regression hypnosis and the spiritual realm and the universe and all those type of things. So whether they're very sort of familiar with it, or whether they say, you know what, I don't know anything about any of these things, but I'm sort of taking a chance because I kind of like your energy. The explanation is usually very much the same. So this is a video that I've been wanting to make for quite a while, but I kind of wanted to be sure, that the information is sort of like the same and everybody sort of gives it the same. So um, everybody always speaks about the light. They always speak about this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light after they have, after they have just literally left the body. Now, the way to normally get the experience of what it feels when you leave the body, because I think sometimes when you speak about leaving the body, people tend to get a little bit nervous. So just before I continue explaining, I just want to clarify for you there very quickly. So just in case it makes you nervous, that you understand what it is that I'm talking about. All right. So as a soul that's having a human being experience, we normally have multiple lives. All right, we normally have multiple life experiences. So I'm going to explain to you how I do it, but if you are not familiar, sort of like with hypnosis, if you don't have any sort of training and experience, I'm going to beg you from every part of my heart, please do not experiment with this if you don't know what you are doing, because yes, hypnosis is very, very safe. Yes, you're not really asleep, you're actually more awake than you've ever been before. But if you don't have any sort of experience with it, or you don't have the necessary training, I want to ask you very kindly, please do not guinea pig this, okay? Don't do that. All right, so the way that we normally get somebody to go into into the soul plane is that you would go to generally the last life that you had on planet Earth as a soul having a human being experience. We take you to that last moment just before you pass, and then sort of, using different techniques, because there's many different techniques um, in hypnosis. So applying whatever technique is most applicable for this particular point in time, for this particular client, and then to get you into that moment after the soul has just left the body. All right. And people are normally very, very excited. You're usually able to see your body. You're usually able to see your loved ones. And sometimes it can be very, actually very overwhelming and very sort of sad for the soul that they have to leave, because they can see that it's difficult on their family. Sometimes they stick around for a little while afterwards. And when sometimes people say that, it's almost like they saw the person, or it's like they could see them at their funeral or something like that. In actual fact, the soul does sometimes stick around for a little while afterwards, especially if they feel that the family really needs them. But then they go into the light. They always speak about the light. They always speak about the beautiful, 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 beautiful light. That is there, usually, sort of moving up with the light or through the light or becoming one with the light. And they would usually say the more they move up towards the light, the happier they become. Sometimes you will find, and I did find this in my session that I actually had yesterday, sometimes when there's sort of like an attachment that could have come with you from a previous life, because it does happen sometimes, that did come with you from a previous life into this life, and sometimes you actually find that happening over there. And when I say attachment, we sometimes, because we call it energy attachment and we make it so negative, but sometimes the attachments themselves are not even aware of the fact that that they are actually attached to you, or that you are aware of it. They don't always mean a whole lot of damage and a whole lot of bad stuff. So especially, I think that something like cord cutting, for example, has become quite a thing in the last couple of years. And it's I've been saying this to people for a very long time, that it's cord cuttings. You always just want to sort of cut off this energy, but it's like anything else in this world. If you're not sort of, have a good thing going with your neighbor or your colleague or your partner, or whoever it may be, a friend or whoever, instead of just sort of going out and outright attacking them because they're not really good for you in your opinion, it's always good to sort of go across and say, okay, so this is who I am. I'd like to talk to you. Let's get some clarity. What's happening over here? And I would say 99.9% of the time, the energy will actually release willingly, apologizing, sometimes we'll get, for example, that other beings that we would basically call aliens maybe do experiments on humans, and they're not even aware of the fact that the humans are aware of it. They're not aware of the fact that it inconveniences the human's life. They think that you are completely oblivious to it. Somebody explained it to me so beautifully a couple of years ago. A gentleman that really was one of my really amazing teachers when it comes to Reiki, because I'm an Asui Reiki master, as well as crystal healing, which is something that I'm really, really passionate about. And he explained it to me in such a beautiful way. He was saying that it's almost like when you put sort of like, when scientists put like a little tag on a fish, and the fish goes swimming through the ocean because they want to monitor where it goes and they want to learn more about it. And the intentions are very, very pure. But according to them, the fish is not aware of that, but the fish actually might be. It's the very same thing sometimes with attachments. So there was an energetic attachment in this particular point, and I could actually just speak to it directly, from a sort of like a very connected sort of part, and so like, so what's the vibe here? What's the function here? And it just released, and it was just beautiful. Now, normally, when you sort of go into sort of like the beginning of the sort of tunnel of light that everybody's always speaking about, or the afterlife, or heaven, or the soul plane, whatever you want to call it, you would always have that there would either be one of your guides will meet you there, maybe one of your soul family members, if maybe say somebody that you had a lot of lifetimes with, And with a guide, it's sometimes somebody that you went to go do the human incarnation, and then they stayed in the soul plane so they could assist you throughout your life. Maybe it's your twin flame, which is really just a very strong energetic part that we have got a very strong link to. It's not always the whole romantic sort of setup that we make it out to be. And sometimes in life, actually, we end up having a lot of sort of, um, unhappiness with our actual twin flame because we think that it has to be this person that we're going to have a lasting relationship with and build a family with and marry with, but it can sometimes be your best friend. It's like that. It's almost like when twins are born. I always explain it to people when twins are born, and I do have another video about that as well. If you look on my YouTube channel, it's in the playlist. It's a spiritual regression hypnosis. There's a couple of them over there. um, but if, for example, you are born and you are a twins, like literally you are siblings, you're not exactly going to go and marry one another. Generally, you won't. And that is almost very much in the same way sometimes with our twin flame. They are here to support us. They really understand us really, really well. So sometimes they will meet us. Sometimes Source itself will meet us, Source of all, what we commonly, name God, the Creator. Um, so it usually depends on whoever um, is going to be able to assist you best in the journey, as you kind of in the journey as a soul having a human being experience, because sometimes the life as a human can be quite challenging, it can be quite tough. And when the life itself was very difficult, especially when as we're all soulmates, we all help one another go to different phases. And so sometimes, in order for example, growth to take place, the life contract that the soul has to agree to can be quite a challenging one. And from a soul sort of perspective, it can seem very cruel and very unfair sometimes. If you take someone like Hitler, for example, you know, um, a lot of people will say, what are you talking about? Because Hitler was this really horrible, terrible person. But when you think of some of the many things that happened, you know, as a direct result of the things that Hitler did, then yes, there was a lot of sadness. There's a lot of lives that really suffered very much as a result of things that Hitler did. But there's also really many positive things that came as a result of that. And one of that is actually, I myself, I live in Cape Town, and the area in Cape Town where I live, there's a lot of Jewish people around where I live, and those Jewish people largely came to Cape Town as a result of the actions that Hitler actually took. And so sometimes there can be very positive expansion from the things that the soul does. But then when the soul does, goes back to the soul plane, or maybe throughout your life there was a lot of abuse, there was a lot of trauma, maybe your passing was very overwhelming. Maybe there was sort of a lot of sort of like violence involved around your passing. Then it's like the soul takes quite a lot of hits, and then there's a beautiful place in the soul plane where you normally go to that is called the cleansing room, and it sort of recharges you, sort of defaults you back to your positive sort of like parts that you are. And what is so amazing about that is that a lot of times when souls do that, they often speak about the colors they change, and they speak about sometimes like about rainbow hues or like gold colors. Um, it's a beautiful sort of touching thing, really. For me, it's such a privilege to be able to do that. And it's so wonderful because sometimes the souls get to meet their soul family, because you get to see your beautiful soul family and to meet your family. It's such a beautiful sort of reunion. So for anybody who ever lost anybody and who wonders if the loved one is okay, I think I can with absolute conviction tell you that when your loved one passes from this world back into the soul plane from which we came, they are met with so much love. They are met with so much support, such compassion, such understanding. There's none of this real sort of harsh judgment that so many, um, establishments are sometimes talking about. You're welcomed with so much love and such vibrance. And our families really sort of maintain a relationship with us all the way throughout, because when you get in the soul plane, you actually get to understand that you're never really separate, that you're always really connected to one another. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And and so what will happen sometimes is that, especially when, sometimes people come to me because they feel quite sort of lost, they don't quite know what's happening in their life, or to anybody else that sort of does the kind of hypnosis that I do, because I do sort of normal regression hypnosis, but then also sort of like what is called timeline, hypnosis or regression, which is normally when you kind of go down into your life from the moment where you are right now to the point of conception in this lifetime, or you can go to previous lifetimes. You maybe go to the soul plane. Um, there's different things that can happen. I generally say to people, don't have expectations. Let's see what happens, because the soul understands where's the best place for you to go. Okay, your higher self, your subconscious, your oversoul, whatever you want to call it, understands where's the best place for you to go for the healing to take place, so that you benefit in this lifetime. Because sometimes we get a little bit lost, with our soul plan or our purpose or our path or whatever it may be. And so you will then kind of get usually to a point where you get to see what is the purpose for your life. Sort of like the Akashic records, how everything fits into everything else. What is the purpose for this life? You sort of realign with it again. And then we do the process where it's almost like a soul sort of rebirth, where the soul sort of relives that experience, where it goes back into the body, and all the way through from where you kind of started to where you are now, healing all those parts in your life. And it's just such an incredible experience. And I think when it comes to Earth, we sometimes feel that Earth is it's almost like unfair in many, many ways. But a soul needs to have a lot of experience and a lot of courage to actually be able to do the soul journey. So just the fact that you are currently, a soul within a human body, that in itself means that you are an old soul, that you are ready for lessons, that you're ready to move forward. Sometimes you're here to really support many, many other souls so beautifully. But the one thing that I really sort of want to point out in this particular video, apart from all the others that I have, is that when a loved one leaves, they always, that it's a beautiful experience for them. Okay, it's sometimes a difficult experience for them, because they don't always want to leave you behind. But then, as they sort of re-emerge with all of who they are, because we are all so much more, you begin to understand that we're never really separate. Okay, so if you also do have a loved one, in the beyond, so to speak, then know that you can communicate with them, know that they're always with you. I always say, a friend of mine always puts it so beautifully, and she sort of, does wonderful, wonderful work. Where I really love my tarot cards and also use oracles. She really likes to use oracle cards, but she always explains it so beautifully that they're just in the next room. They're literally just on the other side of the veil. In the earth experience, we sometimes feel that we're very separate, but in fact, we're never separate at all. We are all connected. We are always connected. We are literally all one, all the time. Nobody's a mistake. And sometimes when you feel that you're a mistake, or that maybe you shouldn't have been born or anything like that, it usually means that you're sort of out of alignment, or kind of forgotten who you actually really are. The divinity, the beauty, the incredible, amazing sort of shine that you are. And I believe that the spiritual regression hypnosis that I do is so fantastic, because it reminds you once again of who you actually are. It's so wonderful, because it really helps with healing, so that you can once again realize that, or sort of become aware of what is the purpose for your life, and also sometimes move away and forgive those people and circumstances and places and whatever things that weren't really probably your fault or their fault. And I think with understanding, we normally get a lot of forgiveness. So if anybody needed to hear that message, then I'm very, very glad. I'm very happy to help. And if you are interested in, getting more information, I can send you an email with a lot more information. about the spiritual regression hypnosis journey itself. Or you can also, if you want to make a booking, you can contact me directly. My email address is down below in the description. Apart from that, I want to thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your love and your light. From my heart to yours, namaste.